Okay, to the people of the world, this machine now does what I've always said it would do. Now, Joe Noffi, I want you to walk over here. Joe's been with me for a long time. I want you to look at the people and tell them, I have told you many times I didn't want to put this machine out until I could reach high speeds, and I knew I would achieve it. Is that true or not true?
Exactly true. That's what we've been waiting for, the only missing ingredient.
All right.
Pretty good speeds, but now we've got unlimited speeds.
And see, that's what's important. Power is relative to speed. You can look it up in the equation of what power is. It's force time distance divided by the time. It's tied to time. As you increase that speed, if you graphed it, the power output will go up like this. If you keep increasing the speed, you can make it go up in a straight line. That's what we can now do, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate. Now, the other thing that I'm going to verify is these batteries right here, a 9-volt transistor batteries that you've already seen a video up where I ran that machine for an hour on 9-volt batteries. Well, I deliberately killed these batteries with this little motor right here, killed it. And I had a guy two guys representing two companies that were here a few years ago. They were a $30 billion and a $40 billion company. They all split up now. The companies are down. I think one of them's a $15 billion and the other one's a $8 or $9 billion company. Still big companies. Their representatives were here. Joe wanted to say something.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Has it been that? Okay. But anyway, one of their engineers is from the Gulf Coast. We showed it to these two guys who came first 2 weeks ago, and then they had a guy who installs their technology along the Gulf Coast. Now, I had him do something. I had him verify that these batteries are dead. Right now, if you check them, they're 98 volts across this battery pack. It's dead. Now, if you take and divide that by 14, these are 14 batteries. 14 into 98 is 7. It shows there's 7 volts on each one of these batteries. These batteries are 9.3 volts. A battery, when it's 10% down, is dead. Every technical person knows that's true. You know it about your own car battery. 10% down, it's dead. As soon as I hit hook this motor to this battery voltage would fall from 98 volts down to 0.03 volts. 0.03, less than 1 volt. I asked him a question. His name was John. I said, John, being honest, because I had him try to turn this shaft, and this is the way he could turn that 2-inch diameter shaft. When he grabbed it, with all his might, he just couldn't move it. And I asked him, I said, what do you think the chances are that you could take these dead batteries and run that machine? I said, just give me your honest statement. His quote was this, and Joe was a witness to it. He said, I'd bet every dime I got these dead batteries won't run that machine. I said, let's run it and see. I hooked it up to it, and it immediately took off. Is that true or not true, Joe?
True. We've run in an hour with those. But this was dead batteries.
Now, this should not happen. The point of it, dead batteries have voltage. They have no current capacity. I've always said to the world, this machine does not run off of current. It runs off of voltage. Dead batteries have voltage capacity. They have no current capacity. It takes power to produce current and run it through a load. It doesn't take power to produce voltage. If you're up north and walk across a rug in the wintertime, you'll produce 15,000 volts when you see a spark go from your finger to a doorknob. Jumps that far. Now, it'll make you try to hurt yourself, but it really won't hurt you. You know why it won't? There's no current in it. The current is probably a billionth of an amp. The voltage is high, 15,000 volts. How much power did you use to walk across the floor and produce it? None. You didn't even notice it. That's why it shocks you. You're amazed that you could do that. This machine runs off of that voltage. It doesn't run off the current. Now, what I'm going to show you, something I wanted to show you all my life, and here it is. It's taken me all these number of years to master this backspike. And the power brokers have tried to fight this and keep it from you. People who have read my book and tried to claim it as their own. God has seen to it. None of them have mastered it. There's 3 new scientific principles I have never disclosed that has allowed me to master this technology. Take lightning that was produced by this machine and turn it into torque. And you're going to see it take off right now and run off of this transformer that produces voltage, not current. the maximum current is produced is 0.4 of an amp out of this transformer. But it'll produce 3,000 volts off of 120 volts input power. What this is a variac. It allows me to start with real low voltage. You put 120 in, I can dial this, and anything up to 120 I want, I can put into this transformer. And when you do, you'll see that the current is very, very tiny going in to this machine right here. From AC power, we're hooked in to AC power. Now I've already checked it. That meter out here on the back of this wall, that number won't even change when I run this machine for an hour. It won't even change by one number in an hour's time, because I've already checked it. It shows you it's not drawing any current. Now with this, watch how easy it is for me to start dialing this up. I'm going to put this motor right here. Watch it take off, and I'm going to just turn it up a little bit. Now I can turn this meter all the way around to get up to 120 volts. And what I'll show y'all, Joe, I want you to hold this meter up. So as I dial this up, you can't get in front of the camera. You got to stay on this side. Now you got to hold it up with one hand, your left hand. All right, what you reading?
9 to 10, 10.0, down to 9.6.
All right, hold it up so make sure Ed can see it. Tilt it that way. Can you see that, Ed? All right, wait a minute. Now you hear that machine still getting faster. All right, what's your voltage? Still 9 to 10?
10 to 11 volts. Mostly around 10.4. 10.4 would be about an average.
You can tell the current that this system right here is drawing. This is hooked in, this wire comes around and leads into the AC power, going into this variac. This current tells you the power that's going into this system. You can't even hardly read that. Going below 0 and back up, it's anywhere from 200, I'd say probably 150. This first line will be 1 amp. The second line shows you a 2, which is 2 amps. The first line is 1 amp. You can tell that's way below the first one. So that's probably anywhere from 150 to 0 amount of current, which is going to give you a low input power. Now you can see where that is right now. Now I want you to look at the voltage again.
Turn it on, Joe.
All right, you need to come around here, Joe. All right, when I tell you to, I want you to hold it in front of that camera. All right, put it in front of it. What you got?
Got 9.5 up to 11.
Okay. Now you multiply 9.5 times, let's just pick 100 milliamps. Now 100 milliamps is going to be 0.1. You're not talking about any input power at all into this system. Now you're moving a 1,650 pound rotary that takes a man with one hand. He will grip with all his might to try to turn it. Now I'm going to walk back and tell you what that RPM is. All right, this is going at 79 revolutions a minute. And I just checked it with this meter right here. That's the digital readout meter. Now what I'm going to show you, this motor, I'm worried about if I get it up too fast, this thing could come apart. Now I'm going to turn it up right now. Let's see, Joe. You'll hold that meter for me and read off the voltage as I turn this up, because I want to stop when it gets to 35 volts. And now you tell me when you see 35 volts.
Okay.
What you reading?
We're getting up to 12 and a half. 11 to 12. 12.2.
All right, what you reading now?
11 to 12.2, 12.3. Coming up slowly, 12.7, 12.8 is the top. Still down 11.5 up to 12.4.
What you got?
12.7 is the high. Now we're hitting 13, 13.3, 13.5.
And you hear the machine speeding up, don't you? I do.
Just a little bit more voltage. 13.5, 13.6, hit 14. 14.2, 14.4, 14.8. All right, we hit 15, the top. 13.9 to 15.1.
All right, I'm going to take a reading right there.
All right.
Now you still have only, you got 120 volts that come in from this line. This is a variac. It keeps your voltage based on how you dial it. It's got resistors in this line. Right now, though, the voltage that's going into this transformer is 35 volts. Only 35 volts. Now I'm going to check the RPM, and I can just hear it. And if you've been listening, look at the tape. You can hear it speed it up. And I'm going to read it to you. This is 106 revolutions a minute.
Just a little bit.
Back it up.
Yeah, that's good.
I want you to shoot this amp meter again. I want you to see how low it is. And if you took an average of 0.1, you can see that needle going down and up, down and up, and down and up. And I say that's about a 0.1. And you multiply it times 35, you're going to have 3.5 watts of input power into this machine right now from your house current. Less than what you got on a night light, a little night light that draws anywhere from 4 to 6 watts of power that puts out a little tiny light. You know this power cannot be coming from this machine. I mean, coming from this, it has to be coming from the machine. The same reason that these dead batteries can run this. The power doesn't come from the dead batteries, it comes from the machine. I can reach any speed that I wish to wish. This right now, if I turn this up, 35 times 8 is 120. 120 volts. That means the speed would be 8 times that. That would be way over 800 revolutions a minute on this machine with a 1,650-pound rotary that one man with one hand will grit his teeth when he tries to even turn it at a snail's pace. It shows anyone this machine now is ready for mass production. It will change the earth. We're fighting right now out in the West. They're in court fighting over the Colorado River about fresh water because there's a big drought. Even in the West, you got Georgia and Alabama and Florida fighting over water rights. It's a known fact with enough electricity. Right now, they take electricity, they run pumps, and they push salt water through a sieve, and they pull the salt out of the fresh water. But it costs too much. With this technology, it won't cost a dime. Now, it should be obvious to any technical person out here that the power out on that shaft would produce take a generator, plug it into this machine, and now you'll see this machine already up on my site running a 10 kW generator, lighting 60 lights. I had batteries all the way around this machine and in front of it. To get the voltage that'll run this machine that would run that generator. Look at this. It's like a puppy. It's like a puppy trying to push an elephant. This small transformer is like a puppy trying to push an elephant. But look, it does it because the machine produces the power. The transformer is not producing the power. You put 3 watts into this machine right here, and it won't do spit. This little tiny motor, a conventional motor, you can't run it off of 3 watts. This thing here, when you turn it up, hook it to a 12-volt battery, it'll show 10 amp draw, 10 amps. And it'll pull the battery, these 9-volt batteries down, it'll pull it down, back, like that. Yet I can hook my machine that I said does not run off the current, it does not run off the wattage, it runs off the voltage. It takes no power to produce voltage. Dead batteries have voltage. Dead batteries will run that machine. This will change the world. I'm looking for people now to get behind this. If everybody in the United States would send me $1, I've been given worldwide publicity in the 80s, and the people didn't do nothing on this technology. If everybody watching this tape would contact Joe Naffy at 205-835-9022, send $1. Now, I've given my life for you and humanity. You can't give me $1 for my effort for you? $1? Every person should be just like the Dr. Swimmer, a top mathematician at Arizona State University. When I was out there, came to my house, knocked on the door. He's a tremendously sweet guy, and told me this. He said, Joe, I'm here to apologize to you for the human race. He said, when you gave a unified mechanical field theory, the whole world should have been at your doorstep. He said, then when you produced the machine and got worldwide publicity, the whole world should have been at your doorstep. And said, then when you persisted all these years to bring it forward against the power brokers of the world, the whole world should have been at your doorstep. And he said, I'm here to apologize to you for the human race. And he just hugged my neck and said he had to leave, got in his car and left. Now, he signed a declaration that I'm right by more than 1 trillion to 1. You can call him at Arizona State University, and he'll tell you this technology will change the world. Over 40 scientists have screamed this. You see it up on my site. By WBL-TV, interviewed those scientists, signing declarations, 40 of them, nuclear physicists, physicists, electrical engineers. You don't have $1 to send me to start mass production of this technology for you and every human being upon this earth? This fight is for you. I could have made hundreds of millions of dollars Back in the 80s, if I'd have sold you out, I turned the power brokers down. They told me they would kill me if I didn't sell it to you. My quote is just like it is now. They can go straight to hell. God has given me this technology. He has brought it forward. He will see to it the power brokers of the world will lose. Every person should stand forward, and God's given me a promise on the White House grounds in March 28, 93, that this is His technology. God would bring it forward, and He would use the people's money. And that's why I'm asking you, if you've got a conscience, look at the site, what I have up on Google. If you've got any kind of a conscience, how is it that you can't send $1 to Joe Noffi, area code 205-835-9022. He'll tell you how to send it. And we can start mass production. Now I'm looking at the same time. I want you to call stockbrokers that you have any contact with. Tell them that you want them to get a shell company that's totally clean, that's on the pink sheets, so the public can get behind this technology. And we can produce it and set up a manufacturing plant in every country in the world. So every country in the world will be energy independent of every other country in the world. And I've always said, this technology will do more to bring world peace than all the kings, queens, and politicians who've ever lived. I can reach any speed you want. If I put a 10,000 volt transformer on this machine would be going close to 10,000 revolutions a minute. Now anyone who's a mathematician, multiply a rotary with a 4-foot diameter on the flywheel weighing 450 pounds and all the mass is right out here. You got a shaft 9 foot long with a 9-inch diameter and it's running for 9 feet. You turn that up to 10,000 revolutions a minute. Its torque would be phenomenal. Now it's obvious when this machine has such torque, Joe will tell you. Joe, step around in front of this camera. What happened when I put these dead batteries on it and I had you hold that shaft? You tell them what you saw and felt.
Everybody in my family has a good grip. And this big hand has a good grip. And I couldn't begin to hold the shaft. And Joe just touched these dead batteries, transistor batteries. I held it as hard as I could, and I never even slowed it down. It just went ahead and turned.
Now that's with dead batteries. Now it's a known fact about a conventional motor. All the conventional motors you've seen, like this, and every other motor is made, it doesn't have any torque on the very beginning. You try to choke this motor down, you will burn it up instantly. If you choke it down, like he's talking about, it would burn up. And so will any motor you show me out there that's an AC motor. You drop it by 10% from 1800 by 180. Drop it down to 1600. Put a torque on it and watch it. You will burn it up like that. That's why in every major city in the United States, there are motor rewrapping shops to rewrap motors for that very reason. This motor has a hellacious start from the very beginning. Why? Because it's E equals MC squared on a 100% conversion process. And I have screamed that to y'all for years and you haven't gotten behind it. This will change the earth. And I still ask you, if you got any kind of a conscience, look at that tape and all I've given for you. And you'll meet God one day. And you can't give $1. Go to the effort. Mail it off. And I don't see how you can sleep at night if you don't do it. That'd give $200 million for us to start production worldwide on this technology. But you can at least, besides that, call a stockbroker and say you want him to get behind this technology and furnish the shell company so the public can also buy into it and help bring it forward and put up a manufacturing plant in every country in the world where there are poor people all over the earth. I've had an engineer who was the top electrical engineer from Africa, South Africa, come to my house in Phoenix, Arizona. And when he saw a motor that I had, and he had been testing it, he was down on his knees looking at it very closely. And I saw tears run down his face. And I asked him, I said, are you okay? Because I got concerned. And he said, I apologize. He said, I was thinking about something. He said, I've seen women in Africa walking 4 hours one way with a bucket on their head every day. 4 hours one way to get fresh water and to bring it back to their children so they would not die of thirst. And they still tried to do a day's work before that 24 hours was over. And he said, that's why I was crying. And he wrote a declaration for the world not to know of this. To know about this technology and not get behind it was a crime against humanity. Other people who've seen this have screamed this at you. I say it with great emotion because I've walked one hellacious of a hard rope up a mountain for humanity. You can at least send $1 or whatever your conscience touches you, and God touches you to send. So we can start mass production, because this is what I've waited for. Now on radio shows and etc., I have constantly had the power brokers, engineers call in, say, Joseph Newman, your machine will never run fast. The back EMF is too great. You can never get it up to speed. It can never do nothing. And at that time, it was producing lightning. And the back spark is too terrible. It tears up everything. You don't see no big spark, and this is going like a bat out of Hades. Why? Because God has given me 3 new scientific principles that I haven't written in my book. I have not written in a patent, because I've seen the cowards, the liars, and the cheats have tried to steal it and stand in the way of it. God has given me this. This is now taking lightning and turned it into torque, and you're watching them that speed right now. You don't see no big spark. On that other video I've got up at this very machine was running with batteries all the way around it. You'll see a big spark up the top and at the bottom. You don't see it now because God's given me the technology, 3 different scientific principles that we're going to apply a patent, not on the scientific principle, by the means by which you use these scientific principles when all the money is put up. So these patents will stand and be able to serve all people of the earth. And y'all should get behind it. Now I'm going to shut up and let him run it for a few minutes longer. And you can see that this current right here on this machine is still down to 0, close to 0. And that's on the input to this variac. Now you multiply that times the voltage, which we will check again. You turn it to the first one. You put it in front of the camera so that he can see it. Okay. What's your voltage?
15.4 down to 14 up to 15.6. 15.8 I think it is. Average is around 15, maybe just a tad over 15.
And if you look at that needle, I'm saying anybody who's honest, you'd give that an average of 100 milliamps, 0.1. Now if you take 0.1, multiply it, time, what'd you say we had, 35 volts?
Well, 15, round it off, it'd be 15.
Okay, you got 15 volts.
Right.
Let me see that again. Let me see it. That's it, okay? 15 volts is what you got. Now you multiply it times 0.1, you're talking about 1.5 watts into this system. I can spit 1.5 watts. That ain't no power. It's sure not going to run a 7,500 pound machine with a 1,650 pound rotary. This will run everything that is made. Planes, trains, homes, cars, anything. I can reach any speed that I want. I can now make a motor by what I've mastered in this, from this technology, that you put it in the back of a car and you turn it up to 5,000 or 10,000 RPM. Now at that speed, you got a mechanical advantage because your wheels ain't going to go that fast. So now you're going to have a big gear to a little gear that gives a mechanical advantage to the motor. It won't change its speed hardly at all because this motor has a hellacious torque from the get-go. A conventional motor has no torque from the get-go. I can take any motors, AC motor, put it under a load from a stop. Look in the Granger catalog. You will see pages of devices that allows a motor to get up to speed before you ever kick the load on it. You'll see pages of these devices that they put on electrical motors. Why? Because if you hook the load to it to start with, you will burn it up. It's got to get up to speed. Then you kick the load on it. It's got centrifugal devices that come out when it gets up to speed. I don't have to do that. This motor has a hellacious torque from the get-go of anything, and the faster you go, because that's what power is force time distance divided by time. So the faster you go, the greater the wattage and the power output, and it'll go straight up, the power output, as you go up in speed. I can reach any speed that I wish to. Why? Because I run off the voltage, and it takes no power to produce voltage. This little old transformer looks like a puppy trying to push an elephant that weighs 7,500 pounds. This little old transformer weighs 24 pounds. That's like a puppy trying to push an elephant. Now look how that puppy is pushing that elephant. Now don't y'all want to join me to bring this forward for production? I appreciate y'all looking at this tape, but I say this to you. If you have a conscience and you want to be able to meet God and say you've done anything to help humanity, and you've been given this opportunity and you've done nothing, and so far 99% of the people out there, you have done nothing to help me. Nothing. And I have fought for you constantly for these years. Now I'm asking you to stand up for yourself. Join me in a fight against the power brokers of the world. I have always said this conspiracy is not against Joseph Newman. It's against you, the people of this nation and the world. The all people do not want you to have this technology. It makes all obsolete as an energy source. Every human being should be angry at the prices you're being charged right now. Oil is going up past $88 a barrel. It's going to hit 90. I guarantee you 3 months it'll be up to $100 a barrel. And it reminds me of that old saying, you take a frog and you put him in cool water, you can slowly bring it to a boil, he'll sit there and let you cook him. Now you take a frog and throw him in hot water, he'll jump out immediately. That's what they are doing to y'all. They bring the price up, then they'll drop it back. Then they'll bring it up again. Look where it's going in the last 2 years. It wasn't long ago, it was $40 a barrel and everybody was getting upset about it. Now it's more than double that. You're acting like the frog in cool water, slowly being raised to a boil. And this is what the power brokers told me in the 90s. They told me this quote, this is what they think of you. Now I took up for you. This is what they told me. They called me, Mr. Newman, you're a brilliant man. But it comes to people, you're stupid. And you better wake up and sell us this technology, because the people will never wake up and get behind you. And it put a rage in me. And I said, you don't know history. I said that one day they will wake up and they will come and chop your head off. Now is that time. I want you people to stand up and fight for yourself. Join me in this fight I've given for you and humanity. And when you say your prayers tonight, I want you to apologize for God, because He's given me this to give to you. I want to see to it. I've never sold it out for simple reasons. The power brokers get hold of this. They'll never sell it to you. They'll lease it to you. And every year they'll have a reason to raise the price of that lease. God has given me great knowledge, just like the power brokers admit. I know what their agenda is. I fight for you and for your children, but you got to be willing to fight for yourself. Every person, you can't put it off. Send money today. Call Joe Nolfi, he'll tell you how to send it. At area code 205-835-9022. And mail at least $1. And tell all your friends to look at this video. See to it that they do. When you're at church, stand up and tell your people, God has given this to this man. He hadn't sold us out, because he does what God wants him to do. Y'all need to get behind this. And we're running out of time. Let's let it run for about a minute, and so they can let the machine speak for itself. Okay, my friend Ed, who's been filming all this and seen how hard it works, wants to tell y'all something.
I have videoed for the last almost 2 years every demonstration that Joseph Newman has performed, and we've produced all the videos and we have them up on the web for y'all to see his energy machine here. And I don't know how much more he can prove his theory besides what he's doing here. I mean, he's proved it for the last, I don't know how many years, you know, for 20 or 30 years. And over the last year, we've put a lot of videos up on the web to even prove it more. We ran it off of solar panels. We ran it off of 9-volt batteries. We ran it off of any kind of source you can imagine that theoretically would never run a 7,500 pound motor. But as you can see here, the output of this machine is phenomenal as far as torque, and the input is virtually nothing. So how can this machine run, how can any machine run on this if what he's saying is not 100% true? I have videoed for the last 2 years. I have verified for the last 2 years. I'm an independent party. Mr. Newman does not, I'm not on his payroll. We are a total subcontractor for Mr. Newman. And as an independent party, I can tell you that I've never in my life realized or seen any piece of equipment that can do what this product can do. So as an independent party, I just urge everyone to get behind Mr. Newman and bring this to fruition, and a product that everyone in the world can enjoy and have, that the Lord has given to Joseph to bring to the world. And I don't know what else I can say that you know, there's no hidden gadgets, there's no hidden batteries, there's no, you know, I have videoed every piece of this piece of equipment, and you know, this is for real. It's what he's saying is real, is right here in front of you. It's time to get behind it and make a difference in the world.
Thank you so much, Ed. And I'd like to say one thing. Think about how much water this would have already pumped in Africa for that woman having to walk every day if she had a well. And this machine is running. You can easily put a generator on this machine, and any technical person now knows it, because this thing ain't drawing no power. All it's got to produce is 1.5 watts. So it produces 10 watts. And then it runs this little variac that runs this transformer, that runs this machine at any speed you want. This is equal to MC squared on a 100% conversion process. I have screamed that at y'all. I've given a unified mechanical field theory that no scientist has ever explained one thing of gravity, or electricity, or magnetism, wave and particle theory of light, the property of inertia. Hell, way back in 1968, I explained them all. The world did nothing. It's up on the internet. It's so simple a child can understand it. This is a result of a man's life that started in 1965 to give this to humanity. Thank y'all.